Okay, going to do a balayage using freehand technique. So what I've done is I've put this into 7 sections and I've left this section down to show you. So this is like a middle piece here. So it's going to be a money piece and it's in a triangle section, and it's usually from eyebrow to eyebrow when you split it. So that gives you a full face frame. But I'm only going to do very, very subtle today. So just for the freehand bleach. So there's one section at the front here. There's 2 sections at the side, each side. And at the back, there's 3 sections. So that section's in a deep V. The next section is just in a horseshoe section, and the top part is in a horseshoe section. But I'll talk you through it as we're going along. We're going to start at the back. Now, if I wanted the money piece really, really bright, I would do that first and I would have that in foils. But I want it all just looking really, really natural, sun-kissed look. So I'm just going to put this out the road just now, and then we'll start working on the back sections. Now I've mixed up my Free Lights developer. So my Free Lights developer is 1 part of colour, of powder, to 2 parts developer, or 1.5. So I've done it 1.5 just now, just slightly more than 1.5. So I'm going to start here at the back section, so hopefully you can see that okay. I'm going to move this in a wee bit. I'll come up here a wee bit, sorry. Okay, so I'm right next to my bleach. So I've mixed up my bleach. I'm now going to put my gloves on. I've got 2 different tint brushes. So one to apply and one to feather. And I'll show you what I mean when I'm doing it. So I'm going to start at the back section. I'm going to split it into 2 here. So we're going to do this step by step. So I'm taking really quite big sections for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split it in 2. And then I'm going to just lightly tease the root. I don't want a lot of backcombing in it because it's a nightmare to get out. So if you just slightly tease it, so you're pushing it in like 1, 2, right? No more than that. And I've now got a V-shaped section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this, and I'm going to apply it into a V shape. So I'm starting at the side and I'm painting a V shape right down from the root. Okay, right down. And the same at the other side. So it's a V section. I'm not penetrating that product right through because I want it to surface, okay? So when I do my V, I'm just gradually painting it into a V here, if you can see that. But when I get to the bottom here, I'm really saturating the bottom of this and I'm massaging it in, so I'm really saturating it. Now you can do this 2 ways. You can do it using your board, which I'll show you in the next section, and I always make sure the bottom bit's through the back. The rest of this I only want surface. Now, with the side of your brush, I want you to push that colour up so that this V is blended, so there's no harsh lines. It's blended. Now, the reason I get another tint brush is if I find parts like this, it's a wee bit lumpy, I just go over it with a dry brush and feather it in because I don't want any harsh lines. Now, the good thing about Free Lights is you can leave that, you don't need any foil at all. It will not transfer to any part of the hair. So I'm moving round to the next side here. And I'm doing the exact same again. The reason I'm painting it up so high here is because I want the definition around the end of the hair rather than the middle of the hair. Now you can do a couple of ways to do this. There's no set way to do this. This is just a quick, simple, easy way for you to try. Okay, so again, I'm working on the middle the end of the section, so I'm working in a V. And I'm painting that as close to the edge as I can get, and the same in the other side, okay? Basically that's already been, there's been a slight bit of backcombing in that from earlier, so I'm not doing any more backcombing. Now you don't necessarily have to backcomb every section, it depends how neatly you work and how you can blend in your lines. Okay, so I'm painting this on, as I say, in the next section I'll show you using the paddle, but I quite like just freehanding it on. I can paint where I want. The good thing about balayages are, there's no rules, you can do whatever you want with it. If you want a bit thicker, you can have a bit thicker. If you want a bit finer, you can have a bit finer. The worst thing you can do is try and penetrate it right through all the back. I always like giving it a wee quick blend in. So I always give it a wee blend with my dry brush. Do you see? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see the blend in that. You can see it so much better when you put the dry brush on it. But I still like, and sometimes I even put more on the ends if I want a right poppy colour on the ends. Okay, and give it a light wee blend. Always make sure when you're doing any freehand colour, you're always drying your hands, cleaning your hands before you take the next section down. Okay, so that's one section done. See how quick and easy that was? So when I'm taking my next section here, sectioning's key. So I like taking diagonal sections because I think diagonal sections sit nice, especially when it's curled, but also it looks great when it's straight, whereas some of them they're too liney. I like to see a blend rather than where something starts and stops. Okay, so if you see my section sizes are quite thick, you don't need fine sections for this. Okay, you're lifting it and all you're doing here, see like this one here, this is a bit thicker, so I'll take that into 3 sections. So I'll paint my side sections again, so I'm pushing that up. Okay, can you see that? So I'm pushing that up here, doing the exact same again. But this time I'm going to do a wee bit more in the middle, right? So I'm going to do my sides. My sides, okay? I'm going to do this a wee bit quicker. I'm going to do one in the middle, here. But I want that up quite far. But if you've noticed, as I go up, it's a lot finer at the top, because what you don't want is a big line that you have to get out at the end. Now, I was telling you about your paddle earlier. So when you're saturating the bottom, the paddle's great for it. So do you see the difference with that? So I'm saturating the bottom here, saturating it and bringing it back up here. And then I'll take my dry brush and I'll just push that up. Push everything up into your backcombing. Now the backcombing's there to stop any lines, okay? And just make sure at the bottom this is saturated. The rest of it doesn't need to be saturated at all. Okay, dry your hands again. Now this is so quick, this should not take you long to do this. So I'm going to take the middle section out now. When I get up higher, I don't do a balayage through the middle. I tend to do like singles, which I'll show you when I go up. I'm sorry for leaning over this. This is something that I give you a row for, but I don't have any room at the other side of me. So I'm going again, my V, my V. But I'm just painting where I want. Just painting exactly where I want it. What you don't want is the exact same right through, or you'll end up with lines. Okay, so we're going to use your balayage board again, but I'll show you another wee trick with the balayage board. This wee part here is to keep your colour in. Do you see that? Now keep the bottom nice and flat in, so that you're really heavily saturating that colour. Okay? So now if you see any wee bits like this, you can just do it with your fingers. But I'll show you another way as well. As we go up, I'll show you different ways to blend. So I'm moving around just so that you can see what I'm doing. And all I'm doing is lightly, just remember it's light, so I'm pushing it up once, twice, okay? And then we'll do the middle this time. And then we'll push it up into the side, so we'll do it a wee bit thicker. Okay, push that right up there. Because as we're coming here nearer the front, you want that a wee bit thicker around there. And not as thick in here. So see if you look, I'm going diagonally here. Get my board. I know a couple of these have been dying to use your paddle board, so that's why I'm doing it with this. So if you look there, if you see this side, it's a wee bit different. Okay, so I'll show you this for the side. And I'm just melting that in with my dry brush so I don't have any lines. Don't worry about these wee bits here, because that's where your back combing helps, because when that comes down you won't have a line there. Okay, and just make sure that's nice and saturated at the bottom there. So I'm going to show you this bit here. That's going more at a diagonal, do you see that? So it's coming from here down there, so there's more product there than there, so that means there's going to be a lot more colour there. Okay, so now we're going up one more section here, the exact same. Okay. Now remember, when you're coming to the crown of the head, which is up here, you don't want product in the middle there. Do you see that? You don't want that in there, because if the hair splits there, you're just going to see a line. Okay, so we'll do here, we'll still do a bit of saturation at the sides, but then we'll do it a bit finer through the front. So again, 1, 2, no more. Okay, and we're going to do saturation again through the front, because I want quite a lot through here, and I'm going to do it the same way as I done the last one in the diagonal. Okay, you'll actually have good fun doing this. I'm just doing this with my fingers because I've showed you the board, so I like doing it with my fingers because I feel as if I get more saturation. But again, that is up to you to try both and see what you like. There's no right and a wrong way to do this. So I'm going to push this right up, and I've got plenty of saturation at the bottom. Okay. The secret to this is working quickly, very, very quickly. I'm going to do the other side and then I'll do the middle. And I'll show you the difference with the middle, right? So I'll take a wee bit more for here. So 1, 2. Paint it again, nice and thick through here, through the sides. And then a bit finer just through the middle. It's a wee bit finer. Push everything up into your back combing, right? Everything up into your back combing. Once I've completed this, I'll let it develop, and then what I'll do is I'll dry it straight, because you need to see the blend straight. Don't try to ever cover anything with curls, because you can cover a multitude of things with colours. With curls, make sure it looks blended when it's straight, then you can curl it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, as we're now getting to the middle, can you see this okay? I'm still back combing everything, 1, 2, right? I might actually do a wee 3 in the middle there. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to weave out chunky pieces, okay? So I'm going to weave out chunky pieces here, and this will give me a softer blend through the middle, so that when it splits, as I said earlier, you don't see the colour. Right, so I'm starting here at the bottom. Can you see that? I'm starting at the bottom, and then I'm going to push it up into my back combing, so it's nice and subtle. But again, saturated at the bottom. Okay, can you see that okay? I don't know, I'll maybe put a stronger light on. Give me a second, I'll put a stronger light on so you can see it more. Hopefully that's a wee bit better for you. Okay. Can you see that okay? Okay. In my next section, and I'm just leaving all this next section to go into sort of, I'll weave them more. So again, chunky at the side, 1, 2, so you're pushing it in. Okay, paint on. You'll have good fun. This is, it's great putting freehand because your placement, you can put it exactly where you want. I'll give you another shot of the paddle. The paddle's great for doing your saturation at the bottom. A lot of folk like it for doing your painting. I don't. I much prefer doing my painting freehand, because then I can see exactly where I put it. Okay, always massage the bottom, just make sure there's no lines. Okay, and blend it in with your fingers. I'm going to show you another way to blend it in as we go along. Okay. Just going to do another wee weave in here. So I'm going to do 3 again. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So that I don't have a big heavy line. Okay. And I'm going to do chunkies. 1, 2. Like that one. And don't worry if that's, you see the back home and that's meant, you're meant to see that. Paint it. And then push it up. So I can paint it all on this because I've got 2 separate sections. Saturate the bottom, blend it, and down. Every single section, I'm cleaning my hands. Okay, side here. 1, 2. Dry brush again. Hopefully you can see this okay on this video and you can see the difference that that dry blending makes. I just find it's the easiest way to do it. But there's another way I'll show you with water when we go up a wee bit. But if you look at the back section here, I've got chunky sections right through all the sides and underneath, but through the middle it's softer. So your placement all depends on what the client's wanting done and what our hair's like to start with. Okay, so if you look at that for the front just now, there's a lot of placement going to come right through this front area. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the sides. I always like doing my sides next. It's as if it's like in a sequence, okay? So I'll start at one of my sides here. Get a nice wee curl, it's lovely. Okay. Now, remember, faces aren't square, so I don't want straight sections. So we can do angled sections, we can do it that way, here, or this way here. I like doing it this way, because that comes onto the face. But again, try it different ways, and you'll get different results. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, lightly back comb, just lightly, so 2 to 3 back combing. Now this is where I'm going to go paint from the front here right up to the root. Okay, a wee bit thicker here. I'll show you this in a minute because it'll be hard to capture this, I think, on the video. I'll show you when I come down, but I'm taking this quite thick through the front. Again, I'm going quite thick at the sides. Paint it all at the bottom so that there's loads of saturation at the bottom again. So see, if you look here, you'll see I've made a line deliberately here, right? So I'll put a line here so that I can show you. Right, if you see that line, do you see it? So if I push that up, look what happens. The line disappears. You see that? So it's nice and blended. Now, if you look at this from the front, here, you're going to have loads of colour through here and here. Okay? As you're going up here, it's going to be softer. If you do it too heavy and too thick, it's just going to look like highlights, or it's just going to look like a big line of colour. So I like taking my diagonal sections and then deciding where I'm placing it as I go along. As I go up, my placement gets lighter. So I've still got a bit in here that I need to do heavy. So again, 1, 2. You'll like working with 3 lights. 3 lights are great to work with. So I'm just putting this in the middle just now because I don't want it just as thick, but I want it quite heavy at the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to put my saturation on the bottom here, and I'm not worried about lines just now. I'm just saturating the bottom. Right, make sure I've got nothing underneath here. A wee tiny bit up the top, and then I'm going to push with my dry brush, push that right up so that I don't have any lines at all. Okay, do you see that? Same again, just with this tiny wee piece here. So if you look, I'm just building my base here. That's all I'm doing, is building up this wee base, and then I'll take chunkies through the top. Okay, so last wee bit here. 1, 2. Okay. And I'm just going to paint this in the middle. So we're painting this in the middle. I'll show you a different way to do it. So paint this in the middle. So I'm painting this quite heavy in the middle, right, and right down at the bottom. But I want it softer up here. So I'm only just putting tiny wee pieces up here. Right, so it's hardly got anything up there, but more on the sides. See? And I'll show you that now. Okay, so do you see that now? That's you built your base. So if you look for the front, you can see where the colour's coming. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to work on the other side, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to do the top, okay? So the video's not too long, okay?